We are back with you live once again on another Johnnie Torch live broadcast. Yes, here we are high atop stately Torch Tower looking down upon the fair metropolis below on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Torch News Roundup. Thank you for joining us once again for another stellar broadcast and a long line of broadcasts. We got a lot to talk about today. I doubt that we're going to be able to get this all done in 1 hour. This will be a marathon, probably, because I've got the long-awaited list of movies I'm looking forward to in 2020, as well as all the news of the week that is fit for public consumption, and maybe even some that's not fit for public consumption, so be warned. Alright, first off, I want you to check out the link in the description below for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, yours truly's action-adventure saga about a down-on-his-luck private eye taking on the most colorful collection of villains imaginable anywhere, anytime. You can also check out the link in the description below for my Twitter page. And, of course, if you have any comments, make sure you address them to me in the comment section. I got the chat room open, and apologies if I don't look at it often enough, but I try to make the effort every once in a while. And, yeah, just a brief update on The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Remaster number 1 that we're working on. It is coming along slowly, but it is coming along. It is hopefully going to be done by the spring before I get to any conventions. Tentatively hoping for it to be ready by April. But we're still in the editing phase. We are cleaning up some of the artwork, trying to get the lettering. You know, I'm re-lettering it on top of recoloring it. The coloring is probably going to be faster. I typically can color a page in about a day and a half, depending on, you know, how busy the page is, but I'm pretty sure, you know, once we get through the editing phase, it'll be a lot better. I'm trying a different tactic this time too. I'm gonna proofread it a page at a time, because usually what happens is it takes me like about 3 weeks to proofread something. But now when I get a page lettered, I go straight to the proofreading. Of course, I've got to reread it after it's all set up and everything, but I'm gonna do the bulk of the proofreading a page at a time instead of, you know, putting it off to the end, because that's what takes all the time. That's what's the most, you know, that's the most arduous chore, trying to proofread something and spelling, you know, spell checking every word, even the ones you know or should know. You still got to check them anyway. I've got the fan on here. Hopefully it is not getting picked up on here on the mic. I don't know. I'm not sure if it is or not. But apologies, it's apparently pretty warm out, which I wasn't expecting. I went to my usual pre-show constitutional, and it was kind of warm out there. I was surprised, because it was really windy up here in the northeast, and I figured, it's probably chilly with that kind of wind, but no, pretty mild. Okay, so with all that housekeeping out of the way, and please make sure you check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, and check the link in the description below for that. We're going to start off today with the Birds of Prey final trailer. We're going to do a reaction to the final trailer. I don't got a whole lot of images here. Some of it is pretty much the same as the first trailer. This is the final trailer. This is, let's see, Harley Quinn destroying Ace Chemicals, the birthplace of the Joker, in her vendetta against Mr. J, I suppose. And I guess her birthplace as well, right? I mean, that they kind of have it that she's also been dipped, so to speak, in the same pool that spawned the Joker. And that's interesting. Again, I like the fact that they're kind of having it that she's kind of broken up about, you know, leaving the Joker at first here. And I am still hoping that she's going to get back with him at some point. But as we read last week, apparently Jared Leto is not in the film. And I don't think they're going to have anybody else take his place. I think it's going to be one of those things, like I said way at the beginning when the first trailer came out. It's going to be one of those odd couple things where, you know, you don't ever see Felix's wife. She just sticks her hand out the door with a frying pan. I imagine it's going to be something like that. The breakup But, I don't know. I still kind of bristle at the notion of Harley without the Joker. It's fine to do, like, an episode of that or a movie of that or something, but if they're going to try to spin her off as just being her own character, that's, I don't know, that's a little tougher to accept. Alright, here's a look at what was apparently going to be a roller derby scene. Don't have much context for this. I don't know exactly what this is all about. But, yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. Kind of fits in well with Harley's persona. Let's see. This is the plot, obviously. It seems the same as what was leaked before. I don't know who leaked it. Was it Grace Randolph? Apparently, Cassandra Cain steals the diamond that has Black Mask's nudie pics on it or something. Again, doesn't sound like a very engaging plot. And I am still, as of now, uncommitted upon seeing this one in the theater. I really wish I was a lot more positive on it, but from what I've heard, it sounds terrible. A lot of people are afraid this is going to be very SJW, you know, in line with Ghostbusters 2016 and Charlie's Angels. I don't know. I don't really think it's going to be that bad. But again, it's the storyline that concerns me. This looks like it's just, considering what we're seeing, it's kind of like a wacky comedy. Not that I really expect anything about Harley Quinn to be less, but again, when you're dealing with someone like the Black Mask, I don't know, you know, I don't really want to see his character cheapened. Here we go. This is the dance scene, I guess. Apparently there's a musical scene that either takes place in Harley's mind or at Black Mask's club. I don't know. Why is she wearing pants is what I'd like to know. She's doing the whole Marilyn Monroe thing here. And, yeah, a pantsuit. I don't get that. That's why a lot of people are worried about, you know, the SJW leanings here. I don't know. I don't know. Another scene here. This is, Ewan McGregor. He's so cool, isn't he? He looks like he's so cool in this scene, too. I mean, I don't know, like I said, if they're playing him for laughs or not as the Black Mask. But, yeah, he's, you know, I feel like he hasn't gotten enough since playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, of course, he is going to be playing Obi-Wan Kenobi again in the Obi-Wan TV, well, Disney Plus streaming service program, whatever way you want to call it. To me, it's still TV. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully this doesn't diminish his stock in Hollywood playing in this movie. I'm not sure. There, of course, is Harley's hyena that she affectionately named Bruce. She says in the movie, in the trailer. And I'm glad they gave her at least one. I think in the cartoons, wasn't it Bud and Lou? After the famous comedian pair, the legendary Abbott and Costello. But that's nice that they're gonna do it. They're gonna give her a hyena as a pet. I think that's an important part of Harley's life, her pets. And let's see what else. This was cool. This was kind of the nod back to her psychotherapist past, or whatever. She kind of breaks into psychoanalysis here for a split second. I think that was something they did also in Suicide Squad for a scene that was cut out. And I don't mind that, but yeah, again, you got to make Harley as nuts as possible. You know, you can't really play her as, you know, both sides of the coin too often, otherwise it's not buyable that she's nuts. So I understand not doing this too often, but you know, it was kind of a funny little nod there. You know, what I've always said about this here is I think it works a lot better, this movie, the less you think. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. They're actually showing Ewan McGregor wearing the Black Mask. Yes. The Black Mask. That makes everything all right. That makes everything better. This movie's going to be fine now. I'm sorry I ever complained about it. It's perfect. And all my fears are assuaged. If it was only that easy. But yes, in fairness, they do have him wearing what looks at least like a reasonable representation of the Black Mask from the comics. So he will indeed be wearing the comic-accurate mask, at least in one scene. I don't know, at some point here he's wearing the Black Mask. And, you know, a lot of people kind of have said, like, maybe this is just sort of the setup movie. You know, one of those things where they all start off in a certain place and then they all wind up where they're supposed to be by the end of the movie. And since this is probably a third act thing, that's the reason why they really haven't shown too much of Ewan McGregor in the Black Mask. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I mean, you know, if you want to instill me with confidence, you got to show me that you're actually taking these characters where they're supposed to be in the comics. Even if it's an origin movie, you got to show me that's what you're intending to do. I'm not sure that this, you know, that both trailers have really instilled me with that kind of confidence. But yeah, that's about it. That's, you know, like I said, or what I was trying to say, I think that if they had just basically committed to this being a Harley Quinn movie, I probably would feel a little bit better about it. The fact that they're trying to make it a Birds of Prey movie, and Black Canary is completely underwhelming, the Huntress is completely underwhelming, the Black Mask is pretty underwhelming, although, like I said, I have an amount of confidence in Ewan McGregor being a, you know, superlative actor to handle something like that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, I'd like to be won over a little bit stronger than these trailers have allowed me, but like I said, I didn't really get too many images there of the Huntress, who looks completely not like the Huntress, and Black Canary, who looks even less like Black Canary than Huntress looks like Huntress, and Renee Montoya. I understand the idea of trying to get Harley with a supporting cast. I just think that this film probably, though, would have been better served if they just made this a Harley Quinn movie, just the Harley Quinn sequel, and just put one or two other characters for her to come in contact with. I think Huntress and Black Canary just look poor compared with her, you know what I mean? I think in other words, you're doing them a disservice more than you're trying to do Harley a service of giving her someone to bounce off on. It's like we got Bargain Basement Huntress and Black Canary in name only. Is that what we really needed? I mean, in order to prop up Harley Quinn? They're not needed, really. And, again, the absence of the Joker is keenly felt. They should have, like I said, dealt with it in some solid way, although I guess it's still possible. But, yeah, that's about it. That's about my feelings on Birds of Prey. We'll probably talk about this a little more later as we take a look at the 13, oh, the lucky 13, the 13 movies that I may or may not see in the coming year. Alright, so if you have any thoughts or comments about Birds of Prey starring the lovely Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, let me know in the comments below, or in the chat while we're still here. Let's see, we got a new poster here for Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is coming back January 14th to wrap up the whole Megillah, the entire enchilada, the... I'm running out of adjectives. But yeah, we're going to come to a resolution here very shortly, very soon. This poster boasts the new role of Oliver Queen as the Spectre. No longer the Hood or the Arrow or the Green Arrow. Now he's going to be Spectre. This is an interesting choice, I suppose. I mean, I really don't know what they hope to do with this. Is this, I guess, what he bargained for with the Monitor? Interesting, to say the least. Let me see here. Yeah, there's no real copy about this. I'll, let's see if I can move this image around here and... no, apparently I can't move this image around. But you can see the Monitor and the top of the... Yeah, there it is, okay. And you can see the Monitor, or the anti-Monitor, excuse me, up there. Wreaking havoc. He looks like he reeks. I don't know. And, of course, our cast of characters, our main protagonists. I hope I'm not giving you motion sickness by doing this. The 5-episode crossover concludes Tuesday, January 14th, which I believe is the Legends of Tomorrow episode, right? And then I think we wrap up with the Arrow episode. Is that what it is? Or is it vice versa? I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna probably do a review to wrap up what we were talking about in the December crossover portion there. So check that out if you haven't listened to it already, and we will do a follow-up broadcast to see how everything ends up after, after the crisis is averted, if in fact it will be averted. Okay, we've got a few more, let's see, images here before we get into some of the actual stories of the day. We have, let's see, some images from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Again, TV series. Are we allowed to call it that? I don't know. That's what I'm calling it, TV series. Well, we see Bucky, Baron Zemo, and Sharon Carter. Of course, the lovely Sharon Carter was left high and dry by Endgame, and I'm glad that they're bringing her back to do something with her here. Bucky looks great. He's, finally, he finally doesn't look like he's been, sleeping in an alley somewhere in a cardboard box. And the gleefully evil-looking Daniel Brühl as Baron Zemo, decked out in violet, as he should be. Yeah, I think out of all the Marvel TV series that they're putting on Disney streaming, this is the one that's got me the most interested. Again, I'm not really taken with the idea of the Falcon becoming Captain America, but I kind of like the idea of them two guys working together, Bucky and Falcon. I like both those characters very much, and both those actors very much. And to see Baron Zemo sort of get his due when he didn't particularly in Civil War, you know what I mean? That movie was more about Cap versus Tony. It really wasn't about Bucky. It wasn't about Zemo, really. So this would be cool to actually see, Zemo for all he's worth. See what we can get out of him as a villain. I mean, that's not to undersell him in Civil War. I thought he did a great job, Brühl. But Baron Zemo in the comics was a lot more of a, of a heavy hitter. And to see him sort of like minimalized, they couldn't have left him like that. Just like I didn't really want them to leave the Mandarin high and dry, and apparently, they're bringing him back, or they're using the original Mandarin after the Iron Man 3 situation. But yeah, looking forward to this. Let me know what you think about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, I'm jumping all over the place here. Let's take a look at this story that broke. A lot of people are excited about this. Let's see. I'm trying to find my notes here. Alright, Thor Love and Thunder apparently is courting Christian Bale, former Batman actor. Collider's Jeff Snyder, or Sneeder, I don't know, reported that Academy Award winner Christian Bale is currently in talks to join the cast of Marvel Studios' Thor Love and Thunder in an undisclosed role. A lot of people have taken to social media to suggest that he would be the perfect voice for a CGI'd Beta Ray Bill, who, of course, wielded Mjolnir for some time, I believe, in the comics. I don't know. I didn't read a lot of Thor, so correct me if I'm wrong. But and people have been wanting to see him show up in any number of these Thor movies, and he still hasn't. So obviously, when you get a big name actor like this, you think that maybe he would have a prominent role in this film, Beta Ray Bill. But a lot of people I see, criticizing the you know, the potential casting by acting like, well, Christian Bale is better than this. Why would he, you know, it's a lot of hooey. Come on. You know, for one thing, these actors like to have fun, too. I mean, that's why a lot of these guys go to these movies. You know, a lot of them sort of, you know, got to stick up the butt, and they're just, like, want to be in it for the craft. I mean, you know. But, you know, a lot of them, they want the paycheck, and they want to have fun. You know, I don't see Christian Bale turning his nose up at this. I mean, there was a stigma back when he was doing Nolan's Batman that, like, Nolan is an auteur, and, you know, it's worthy of Bale because, you know, wearing a skin-tight rubber outfit for Nolan is, you know, acceptable because he's a, you know, an auteur, so to speak. But I think that kind of stigma is gone by now when you have just about everybody and their brother being in a superhero movie. I mean, how many Oscar winners are in the MCU alone, let alone also the DCEU? So, I don't think that's a big issue. Alright, let's see. Thor Love and Thunder is set to make its way to theaters November 5th, 2021. Alright, so let me know what you think about Christian Bale potentially as Beta Ray Bill. That's interesting. Okay. Next up, we got some news about The Flash. Oh yeah, The Flash, that's still a thing, right? That Flash movie is still going to come out. We heard recently, I think, from Ezra Miller that it was still going to happen. And now we have some info that, again, I did a video that basically went back and forth several times about all the different directors and stuff that was going on, the potential scripts, what was going to happen, all availed to nothing. But now we have confirmation that apparently it's going back to formula. It's going back to the Flashpoint storyline, which is what I think it was originally going to be, or if not originally, that was probably one of the first 3 drafts. Let's see. Director Andy Muschietti has now confirmed his film will indeed borrow elements from the reality-altering tale Flashpoint, although it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything close to a direct adaptation. That hashtag show caught up with Muschietti after he was done moderating a cast panel for the upcoming horror flick Underwater, and he revealed that the Scarlet Speedster's solo adventure will present a different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. The filmmaker didn't elaborate, but one would assume that even if the plot takes a few big liberties with the original story, at least some of the alternate reality time travel elements will remain. Perhaps Jeffrey Dean Morgan will get the chance to reprise the role of Thomas Wayne after all. The Flash is not expected to go into production until next year to meet its 2022 release date. So yeah, there's still some time for things to change, yet again, unfortunately. But, yeah, let me know what you think. Is this a good move? Is this a good thing? Because a lot of times, I mean, a lot of the speculation was that this was going to be the movie to realign the DCEU, that we'd be able to explain away Ben Affleck's disappearance and how we'll bring Robert Pattinson's The Batman in. You know, it would be, because we're still playing with 2 decks of cards in one game here. I mean, we still got Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and apparently Ezra Miller's Flash, but we definitely don't have Ben Affleck's Batman. We probably have seen the last of Henry Cavill's Superman. And how do you soft reboot that into a, into a connected universe again? This might be the way. It's possible. Not sure. But let me know what you think about that. Oh, see, here we go. I forgot. Let's go back to this. This is the copy I was supposed to read for this. But, yeah, all of the DC CW shows have been renewed for another season. This pretty much comes as a surprise to no one, I think. All except, of course, Arrow, which, of course, is ending in a spectacular fashion here, but everybody knows that. But apparently, let's see, The Flash, Supergirl, Batwoman, Black Lightning, and Legends of Tomorrow have all received season renewals ahead of the conclusion of Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was touch and go for certain shows. I know people have speculated that Supergirl was going to be canceled several times over. I don't know. I didn't see how any of these shows would be canceled. The only one I thought was possibly on the bubble was Legends of Tomorrow, because they were, I don't know, they really have lost their luster after last season. That was a pretty bad season, but apparently they're giving them, more than a chance to bounce back from that. Of course, Arrow is not coming back. It will air its series finale January 28th. Also renewed Riverdale Season 5, All-American Season 3, Charmed Season 3, Legacies Season 3, The Dark Season 3, Roswell, New Mexico Season 3, Nancy Drew Season 2, and Dynasty Season 4 are also renewed. So if you're quite interested in that, be sure to check them out in the subsequent broadcasts. Okay, here's an interesting thing here. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Ah! Apparently, this is our first image for Morbius, and I should have warned you. I'm afraid. I hope the kiddies weren't in the room when they saw this. But yeah, apparently this image leaked of Morbius, as the trailer is apparently going to be dropping pretty soon. And this, of course, is Jared Leto. This is what he's been up to in recent months, seeing as how apparently he's not going to be asked back for Birds of Prey. But yeah, this does kind of look comic accurate. I guess I can't complain. I always hated I gotta admit this, I always hated Morbius' look in the comics. He is just so homely looking a sucker that he'd scare the crap out of me as a kid. I never wanted to see pictures of him. But yeah, they kind of captured that well, right? I've always said if they could have gotten Michael Jackson in the past to play Morbius, that would have been probably a match made in heaven. They wouldn't have needed any makeup. But yeah, it looks like a pretty well comparable to the comics. What do you think? Personally, I don't know. I don't know about the the prospect of a Morbius movie. Can Morbius hold his own movie? I don't know. I don't know. Alright, so that's that. I'm trying to find, as usual, I made a mistake. I didn't prepare pretty well for this, but this is the only image I have of in my GIF collection. No matter how hard I try, I never get all the images up that I want to get up. But we also do have a story here about Doctor Strange 2 in the madness of the multiverse, and Scott Derrickson leaving that production. Let's see. Where's the copy? Gee, I got so many notes here for so many stories. No, I don't have. I don't think I took notes on this story. Oh, no, here it is. Okay. Let's see. Scott Derrickson took to Twitter to. Benedict Cumberbatch is not going to get tired saying this. Scott Derrickson took to Twitter to. I should have a stock photo of Doctor Strange in case there's any news. I don't. That's the sad thing. I got a couple for other movies. Like, I must use the same WandaVision image because I never get rid of it because I say, I know I'm going to need this again eventually. Scott Derrickson took to Twitter to say, and I quote, "Marvel and I have mutually agreed to part ways on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness due to creative differences. I am thankful for our collaboration and will remain on as EP." Meaning executive producer. The Doctor Strange sequel was scheduled to begin shooting later this year ahead of its May 2021 release date, and that's not expected to change. The fact that the setback won't halt production may suggest that Marvel has already secured a replacement, or at least has another director in mind. We know Derrickson wanted to add more horror elements this time around, and it's thought that Kevin Feige and company may have balked at the thought of upping the scare factor for a PG-13 film. That's pure speculation, but it's one possible reason for the split. So I've seen a lot of people, quite honestly freaking out about this. And while I like Doctor Strange, the original movie, quite a bit, I don't really have a huge concern with them taking care of business without him. I don't know that the original movie, I mean, it was great, but I mean, I don't really know that his fingerprints so much affected it, I don't know that Scott Derrickson is that essential for the sequel. I mean, I don't know. I mean, prove me wrong, maybe, but I don't know. Do you think that Scott Derrickson was really needed for this sequel? Do you think that this could be a disaster now in the making? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments, and we'll just alleviate Benedict Cumberbatch of that. Snake Eyes! Yes, Snake Eyes! This is a story that broke on Bounding Into Comics. Bounding Into Comics had this report about Snake Eyes. This disappointed me very much. Apparently, and I knew this was going to happen because when you cast an Asian actor to play Snake Eyes, you apparently want his face to be seen. And so they're obviously race-changing Snake Eyes, something that I suspected early on. Snake Eyes, I believe, was a American character. He was a white American. He was not Japanese, even though he was trained in the ninjutsu arts and so forth. But let's see. Henry Golding, during a press conference for the G.I. Joe film in Japan, discussed the importance of seeing Snake Eyes without his mask on. This is ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous. Let's see. Golding stated, "It's an absolute honor to play such an iconic character. He's probably one of the most recognizable characters created." He then stated, "For us to never really see what is beneath the mask has always missed something. Snake Eyes was always seen as a weapon, as almost an inanimate object." That's kind of the point of the character, right? It's like, I don't want to say you don't want to humanize him entirely, but he, isn't really human in his relationships to the other G.I. Joes. He's sort of just a weapon. He continued, "But when you get to see someone's eyes, you get to see their past, their future, the personality behind that." Golding then detailed that the film will be an origin story for Snake Eyes. We really need that, right? We didn't get that enough in the first G.I. Joe movie. We throw it back to the beginning and see how he progresses and how he develops into this most sort of amazing character. I'm super excited to share with everyone what Robert has come up with all of our producers and everyone at Paramount. Yeah, it's going to be one hell of a ride. Answering a separate question, he dived into the idea of the movie being an origin story for Snake Eyes and indicated they might be making some rather large changes to the franchise. That sounds promising. "It's unlike anything that people would have seen. We are really starting a new timeline, a new franchise with the G.I. Joe universe. To kick off with such a distinct and stylized film, I think it really sets the precedence for follow-up movies." So this is what we're going to do now. I mean, I don't mind so much if we're going to stick to the character. I mean, to reboot G.I. Joe is not a crime, seeing as how they kind of botched it the first time around with the Channing Tatum, Duke, and then they killed them off, and then pretty much none of the characters returned for G.I. Joe Retaliation. It might not be the worst thing to reboot this, but it doesn't really sound like they're doing it the right way. It's amazing to be able to tread in unexplored territory and be able to bring our own styles and Robert's ideas and his love for Japanese cinema to the international audience. Oh, so that's great. That's basically what we're in it for, to bring Japanese cinema to it. Along with Golding's comments, director Robert Schwenke detailed how Japanese cinema will influence the film. I've been a lifelong fan of Japanese cinema. It's my favorite national cinema. To be here and shoot a film in all these locations and all across Japan is a great honor, and it is a great joy. Just being here and being able to do this is a dream come true. He added, I'm very excited to show American audiences and international audiences an aspect of cinema I don't think is in the mainstream for the most part. He details a number of Japanese culture and cinema aspects will appear in the film. There's a lot of Chenbara, there's a lot of car action, there's a lot of elements that we've drawn out of Japanese culture and out of Japanese cinema. He continues, we have some Yakuza in the film, there is some Ningyu ideas in there, so we are playing around with a lot of ideas that are very specifically Japanese, and we are trying to get them right. I think that will make this film very, very successful. Snake Eyes is expected to hit theaters October 23rd. Alright, now that's all well and good. Now we have comic book legend Chuck Dixon, also on Bounding Into Comics, with this story about his response to Golden, his comments. Let's see. Dixon responded on YouTube. I don't know, does he have his own YouTube channel? I gotta check that out. I don't know. Chuck Dixon, of course, one of the greats. Dixon responded to the comments on YouTube saying he kind of missed the point that that's what Snake Eyes is all about, the mystery. Dixon explains, at the very beginning, Snake Eyes was created as a generic character, a generic action figure as part of the initial G.I. Joe line. His entire purpose was to increase the profit margin of the line. He continues, because hand-painting all the characters was a big expense, they decided that if they had one figure in the set that didn't require painting, it would make the entire line profitable, and that character is Snake Eyes. No one knew that the character that was basically created almost like a Stormtrooper character for the series would become its most popular character. And in fact, for years, the most popular character in comics as well as toys. And all of that is because of Larry Hama. Of course, Larry Hama, one of the great writers of comics, and he, was like the quintessential G.I. Joe writer during that formative phase of G.I. Joe in the 80s in the comics and so on and so forth. But that's true, that the Snake Eyes, I had the original Snake Eyes figure, and it is very undetailed. It's basically they just took a character, put him like in, like he said, like a Stormtrooper type suit, and just painted it all black. There was no real details. There was no there was nothing glorious about him, really. Dixon continues, Larry Hama understood the very simple principle that mystery enhances and engages the reader. The less you know, the more you want to know. And he made Snake Eyes a mystery, and by making him a mystery, he made him cooler. Let's see. The other thing that Larry understands, and I learned over time writing comics, is that kids, who are supposed to be our primary audience, kids love to project themselves on their heroes, and who better to project yourself on than Snake Eyes? We don't know what he looks like, and he doesn't talk. So any kid could imagine that they were Snake Eyes. Dixon then explained why he decided to respond to Henry Golding. What's my dog in this hunt? I want to stand up for Larry. I want to stand up for the truth here, and maybe explain to those who don't understand what was so cool about this. Dixon concludes the video by discussing his G.I. Joe series and the challenges he faced with writing Snake Eyes, but also why he enjoyed it. I got to write the character, and definitely the most challenging character I've had to write because the guy doesn't talk. He doesn't emote. But he does emote. And that was the hardest thing to get across what this guy was about without using dialogue. Enormous challenge, but one I enjoyed immensely. I loved writing this guy because he is just so super cool. And that's just built into the character, and he is very, very cool. So, yeah, gotta agree with Chuck Dixon. And again, those early 80s books by Larry Hama, G.I. Joe, that was the Bible for G.I. Joe, basically. And, of course, the animated series. But the animated series, I think, pretty much leaned into whatever Larry Hama was doing in the comics. They pretty much went hand in hand. So again, I don't know. Is this another movie that's going to be disappointing? Yeah, I'm not sure, but we will keep our fingers crossed. And for our final story of the evening, Star Trek IV, is it in trouble? Not long ago, we heard that Star Trek IV was still in the cards, that they were bringing in Noah Hawley of Legion fame to helm the project. And I don't know. I mean, now we're hearing that maybe, well, we heard originally that Chris Pine and all the original cast of the Kelvin timeline was coming back, but of course, except for the Chekhov actor who passed on sadly. But now it's sounding a lot like this is going to be a reboot. Okay, let's see. I pulled a couple of stories from a couple of different news reports here. There's Yahoo Movies and a couple other places, but let's see here. Noah Hawley was recently hired to take a crack at the property. It sounds like he's planning a reboot. Quote, "I have my own take on Star Trek." He responded when asked if his movie will feature the current cast. "It's early days. I'm still talking with Paramount, and I have a take, and I gotta write a script." Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, he said, "To call it Star Trek IV is kind of a misnomer. I have my own take on the franchise as a lifelong fan." Asked if his movie will be taking on a new cast, he added, "Yeah, I think so, yeah." Then when asked whether any of the previous stars, the likes of Chris Pine, who played James Kirk, or Carl Urban, who played Bones McCoy, would be returning, he said, "It's early days. I don't know, but new characters often involve new cast." In November, it was announced that Noah Hawley would be taking on Star Trek IV. Let's see. Alright, this would tally with comments made by Simon Pegg in an interview with Gold Derby in December, who said he wasn't yet signed up. Of course, Simon Pegg plays Scotty in the Kelvin movies. Was quoted as saying, "No, I don't know anything about it. I think Noah Hawley's been hired to write something for Star Trek, which is very exciting because he's a brilliant writer and always creating interesting stuff. Whether or not we're involved with that, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that Noah's thing is necessarily going to be Star Trek IV. I'm talking out my butt as usual, which gets me into trouble all the time, but we'll see what happens with that." Hawley went on to name-check Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan in his interview with The Hollywood Reporter as being his touchstone for the new project. It's William Shatner putting on his reading glasses and lowering Khan's shields, which cost like $9.50. There's no big action sequence, he's just more clever. The series is about being human, about diversity and exploration and outsmarting your opponent, as opposed to destroying your opponent through your physical might. Additionally, he said, "I'm excited to see characters used in new ways, or new characters, or whatever it is. There's something really uplifting about that feeling. I went to Paramount and just had my own ideas for what I wanted to do with it. And that's the direction I'm going in. It's still very early days, so I can't really be more specific, but it's going to be different. I have my own story, and I want to make sure I did with Fargo and Legion, and I'm respectful to the underlying material, that I'm not unintentionally changing things that people love or feel passionate about. So it's important to do that research as I go." So, once again, it feels here like, I don't know, what do you think about this? Do you think that it's time for the Kelvin universe to end? I like a lot of the actors that were involved in this. That's the sad thing. I mean, Carl Urban as Bones was just pitch perfect. Zachary Quinto, very good. Chris Pine, not exactly a William Shatner-like performance, but still good as Captain Kirk. So, I don't know. Do you think? But then, of course, you have the problems of what they've done wrong with the Kelvin timeline. You know, the Uhura and Spock romance, which pretty much goes nowhere, and they could have completely done without. You know, just the feeling of the crew being sort of, you know, held together with baling wire and scotch tape or something. You know, it doesn't really feel like the well, you know, schooled Star Trek crew that we know from the original trilogy. I mean, the original series. I don't know. I just, in a way, I feel like we could do better, but in another way, it's like we already have a pretty good cast. Let's just have better adventures, you know, no need to. I mean, if those first 3 movies were them growing into their roles, let's just have them now in their roles. Let's see. Talking about the Doctor Doom movie that he was developing before Disney purchased Fox, Hawley said in regards to the project, "The phone hasn't rung. I love the script and what I did with it. Marvel seems to have a plan for everything. It would be great if I fell into that plan, and I haven't been chasing it, and with Star Trek, it complicates it, but if the phone rings, I'm in." Alright, so again, let me know what you think. And, yeah, that's about it for the news of the week. What do you think? Do you think Star Trek needs a reboot again? Or should we just carry on? Alright, so let's wrap up the show. We got about 15 minutes left before the top of the hour. I am missing playoff football to do the show, but it's okay because I love my fans. Both of you. No, seriously, we got 115 subscribers now. I mean, I wish I got that many views, but we got 115 subscribers. We're doing well. We're well on our way. And let's see. We got the 13 movies that the lucky 13 movies that I may or may not be seeing released in the year 2020. Alright, let's start off with number 13. This is the movie I'm probably least interested in, least excited about. And it is New Mutants. Now, I must have done a show for 3 years running about the movies that I'm excited to see in the coming year. This movie, I think, is on that list every year, and it's always near the end. But yeah, quite honestly, we didn't do a video about the trailer. We didn't talk about that because, quite honestly, it doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me at all. It feels like it's very tenuously connected to the X-Men universe. I mean, you could have just took the title and made it something else. It just didn't call it Mutants, called it something else, and it wouldn't necessarily feel like X-Men to me. I know these are characters from the comics. I don't know. It just doesn't interest me, but will I see it? Possibly. I don't know. It's coming up finally April 3rd of this year. And again, not too sure what to make of it, but yeah, there you have it. Number 12. Let's see. Number 12 is The Eternals. I have to admit, I know zero about this property. I know zero about it, and they're going to have to win me over with some kind of spectacular trailer and stuff, because from what I've heard about it, the only things I've really heard about it is that supposedly it's going to be as woke as all get out, you know? Again, the great Jack Kirby was behind this. This was one of his creations. But again, I've never heard of it. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Of course, like I said, the Guardians of the Galaxy was a property I was completely unaware of, and they managed to spin that into something fun and exciting. It could happen here, but to say that I'm excited about it would be an overstatement. So, yeah, number 12, The Eternals. Alright, let's see here. I don't have these in numerical order. I gotta just try to find it. Alright, number 11. Number 11 is, the aforementioned Morbius. Not really excited about the prospect of this movie. I mean, as a character, as a sort of a C-list Spider-Man character, I probably would be excited to see him show up in a Spider-Man movie, but to see him by himself, I don't think he's the kind of character like Venom that you could just throw him in a movie and say, carry the movie for us. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. How can it not just feel like a generic vampire movie without, you know, Spider-Man or some kind of other influence? But, of course, Jared Leto getting his shot. And the movie comes out July 31st, 2020. Kind of sneaked up on us. Again, a trailer is supposed to be coming out next week, I believe. Let me see. No, I don't have that in my notes. but yeah, apparently it won't be long now. Alright, so that is number 11. As we get closer to the top 10, I'll probably be getting excited about some of these. Let's see, number 10. This one, again, I'm tentatively looking forward to this one, I suppose. But, the Impractical Jokers movie, yes. My brother's actually a big fan of this show, so I'm aware of it. I've seen it with him, you know, the show itself. And it's a funny show, you know, these guys do crazy things and oftentimes hilarious things. Again, I might just join him when he goes and sees it, because I know he's going to see it, because he's a big fan of these guys. He went to see them live when they did their live, you know, stand-up show, whatever it was. So he's a big fan. And again, I like the show. You know, I can't claim to be a huge fan, like I go out of my way to watch it or anything, but if it's on, I'll watch it and you know, see whatever they're getting up to. I saw the trailer. Apparently, I don't know, Paula Abdul has something to do with it. And they're actually trying to, like, weave a narrative around the movie. I guess she invites 3 of the 4 guys, and one of them has to bow out, and they're going to try to determine that somehow. Yeah, that's, you know, it's an interesting storyline. So, yeah, number 10 is Impractical Jokers. All right, let's see. What is number 9? All right, number 9... Let me see if I can find it here. Let me see. I don't think I have it. I gotta go back to the old picture. Here we go. Snake Eyes. Yeah, Snake Eyes is coming out this year. Oh, by the way, Impractical Jokers will be out February 21st, 2020, so that's right around the corner. That is like almost a full month away. Snake Eyes, as we already determined, is coming out October 16th, I believe. I think they said 23rd on the other copy, but maybe they moved it down since this. I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a good G.I. Joe movie. I've been saying all along I wanted a G.I. Joe trilogy, and it's apparently going to be a reboot. Depending where they go with it, it might be fun. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in, you know, this take. I think if they are doing an origin story and they have it where he remains masked after his origin, that might be acceptable, because of course he wasn't born with the mask on. If they're going to show why he put the mask on or something, that might be okay. But you know, it's all gonna depend on what they do with the character, and that's kind of my concern. All right, so that was number 9, Snake Eyes, coming out in October. Number 8, Bill and Ted Face the Music, August 21st. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. I'm a huge fan of the original Bill and Ted movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Not as big a fan of Bogus Journey. I know that film has its fans, but it wasn't that great, quite honestly. But if they can tap into what made Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure good, and in this day and age, you know, it's a crapshoot, you never know. Some franchises hit that sweet spot and they know exactly how to, you know, work the nostalgia and get fans right back on the page from where they left off. Then there's other franchises that shall not be named, which pretty much are run by people that don't know, appreciate, or love the franchise that they're working on and just spin it to their own benefit. Again, cautiously optimistic, but I think this is going to be pretty fun to see Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter back together. No, I said that right. I said it right. Yeah, okay. Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves back together as Bill and Ted. All right, let's see. Next, at number 7, let's see, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Again, I don't know how hyped I am for this on the one trailer we had. I'm kind of dubious as to what they're going to do with these kids as Ghostbusters. Trying to sell me on 12-year-olds as Ghostbusters is sort of a risky prospect, but I don't know. I wasn't entirely enamored with the trailer the most recent trailer we got. That's a fine teaser, but they're going to have to offer us a little more than that for me to get excited about it. So, yeah, I don't know. You know, it's a wait-and-see approach I'm taking on it. Alright, so number 6, oh, that's Ghostbusters Afterlife, comes out July 10th. July 10th. Alright, coming in at number 6, of course, Birds of Prey. We've been talking about all along here. That comes out February 7th. Again, nothing would please me more than to really love this movie and enjoy it. I don't know how it's going to turn out. From the leaked plot, it sounds horrible, but I could be mistaken. I could be won over. We could all be wrong, those of us who are dubious of how this movie is apparently shaping up to be. But, yeah, looking forward to Birds of Prey, kind of, even if I wait for the DVD. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, number 5. Number 5 is, yeah, Scoob. May 15th, 2020, Scoob, the Scooby-Doo animated movie. Like I said, from the trailer, it looks like they're doing everything right. The designs look fantastic, and I'm a lifelong Scooby-Doo fan, so I'm kind of hoping they appeal to all ages with this film, and that this will be something worth looking forward to. Again, I just love the designs, I love the animation, like the way everything looks. I had kind of a problem with Shaggy's voice. I don't think he sounds as great as the late Casey Kasem, of course, but you know, it looks promising. So I'm gonna say number 5 is Scoob. All right, number 4. Number 4. Let's see. Number 4, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, coming out February 14th. Wow, a lot of movies coming out in February this year. Yeah, I mean, after they fixed up the CGI for Sonic, it looks very promising. Of course, it looks like we've also got wacky, zany Jim Carrey back as Dr. Robotnik, who's always fun when he's in that when he's in that mode. That looks like it's going to be fun. I love James Marsden. He's a great actor, and he really doesn't get his just rewards in films. I mean, he's always playing the supporting character, usually the supporting character to a CGI character. But, you know, I think it could be fun. It could be entertaining. Again, I go back a long ways with Sonic as well. My brother's a big fan of Sonic. I used to read him the Archie comics of Sonic when he was a kid, him and my sister. So, yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's see, going to number 3 now. Number 3, we have Venom 2. Yes, Venom 2 is coming out this year, October 2nd, which is going to be directed by Andy Serkis, right, if I remember correctly. And, of course, Andy Hardy, right? Tom Hardy, excuse me. Andy Hardy. That goes back to Mickey Rooney. That shows how old I am. Tom Hardy reprising the role of Eddie Brock, and of course we have Carnage, presumably as his main nemesis in the film, portrayed by Woody Harrelson. It promises to be a treat. I like the first one. You know, I like the first one well enough. I think they have a good springboard now to like really ratchet it up a couple notches, and looking forward to seeing what they can do with Venom 2. This one, of course, comes out October 2nd, so we have a ways to go before we get a trailer or anything of that nature. Number 2, Black Widow. Yes. In all honesty, I'm pretty much basing this on Scarlett Johansson. I mean, really love her as the character. Not sure exactly how this movie's going to shake up. I mean, they've done really not much to promote it. And it's going to come out in, we have a trailer. It's going to come out May 1st. But, I don't know. I mean, there really is very little ties to the MCU at large with this film. Of course, it's a prequel because she did. Spoilers for Endgame. But yeah, looking forward to seeing her suit up once again as Natasha Romanoff. Gotta say, it's very exciting. And the #1 film I am looking forward to most in the year 2020, in the year of our Lord 2020, of course, Wonder Woman 1984. Also got a trailer recently for this film, and again, we don't know a whole lot about this story either. We've got Maxwell Lord being some kind of megalomaniac or whatever, and then we have the promise of Cheetah, Kristen Wiig's Cheetah, coming on the scene, hopefully looking good. I don't know. We don't really know. We have no idea how that's going to look. Presumably somewhat CGI'd, although from what I've heard, it's going to be a blend of practical and CGI, mostly practical. Not sure how much of that is true. But yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 coming out June 5th. A lot of people complaining about this, it seems. I've seen that they're going with a more contemporary take of Wonder Woman and not doing the sword and spear and shield and fighting the medieval gods and this and that. And the people that are disappointed now that we're getting the superhero Wonder Woman that just uses the lasso and throws crooks around and stuff, now you know how we felt during the first movie, because this is the Wonder Woman I wanted to see. This was the Wonder Woman I was expecting. This is sort of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman from the first movie was still good, but it wasn't recognizable to me as Wonder Woman so much, because I don't see Wonder Woman using war weapons, a sword, a shield, a spear. I never really liked the whole thing with the gods, the Greek gods, and whatever. I mean, that was something that kind of came into play in later years, more like during the Bronze Age, I suppose, of the character. But yeah, this looks right up my alley for the Wonder Woman I always wanted to see. So I'm hoping that this is going to be, the most anticipated movie of the year for me, and it lives up to it. Alright, so there we have it. Let me know your list of movies you're looking forward to seeing this year. Whether I get to see all these or not, I don't know, but I am looking forward to these movies, and hopefully in some fashion, either I see them on DVD or at the movies, I will still hopefully enjoy them all. And as I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. What films are you looking forward to this year? There is no Star Wars film this year, noticeably absent after Rise of Skywalker. I saw Rise of Skywalker this year, so to me that's this year's Star Wars movie. But of course, check out my video reviewing that. Was done earlier this week, and we go on for almost 2 hours, almost as long as the movie was, going into spoilerific detail about that film. And so, yes, we've gone after the 1 hour mark. What did you think about all the topics here on the show this week? Always looking forward to hearing some feedback. I'm thinking of doing a drawing stream. It won't be drawing, actually, because it's just me editing and cleaning up. I think that's kind of boring, though. It's particularly boring if I don't have anybody in the chat that is going to be interested in it. But I might hold off until I'm actually doing some coloring. I don't know when that's coming up. I gotta do that pretty soon. I also got a couple of comic book reviews in the works. I've got some Star Wars comics that I got recently that I said I was going to review, and I never got around to it. They're sort of retro reviews. They're classic Star Wars comics. So look to that. I'm going to see if I can do that in the coming weeks. What else? That's pretty much the stuff that I got on tap. I think there was, I don't know, a couple other projects I got in the works, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. So, until next we meet, make sure you hit that like, share whenever possible, and subscribe to the show. And we're here with you every week on Saturday, the only way to spend your Saturday here with us on the Torch News Roundup. So until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.